Hello! Good to have you all here. Thank you very much for being here. Today we'll talk about music in the 20th century, okay? It's a kind of a philosophical lecture because we start asking ourselves, what is music? What is music? What is art? Okay? We'll talk about that in a couple minutes, but let's observe some paintings first. Look at this. This is Impressionism, okay? This is an impressionistic painting, and Impressionism, the term Impressionism started by an art reviewer, a critic, who wrote in a derogatory way. He said, "Oh, I have the impression that he painted that." Well, it stuck, and it stayed. Impressionism became one of the most important ways of painting, historic ways of painting. Sorry, my English is a little rusty, okay? What else? Look at this painting. If we showed this to Delacroix in 1800s, 1900s, would what would he say in the 1800s? He would say, "Oh my God, this is not a good painting. Look at this. Where's the perspective? There's no perspective. These colors are all messed up." So the idea here is not to make a pretty painting. It's another. We're talking something different. This is Van Gogh, okay, Vincent van Gogh, and what kind of art is this? I mean, why would someone paint with these weird colors and a person without an ear? What the heck? I mean, what about this? Look at this. See? I mean, it looks like a joke. Is it supposed to be funny? Is it supposed to be a funny painting? What about this one? Look at this. Oh my God, I have a bunch of those here. I mean, my 3-year-old can do something like that, right? Well, more or less. This is what we're going to talk today. This is the art of the period that we're talking about. And what is the music? What does the music from this period sound like? Listen to this. This is Beethoven. What? Yes, Beethoven. He wrote this in 1826, 1 year before he died. And it's a string quartet called Great Fugue, Große Fuge. And do you think this was well received when it premiered? No, it was a failure. If you see the movie Beloved with Gary Oldman as Beethoven, there's a scene where this is premiered. I think that's what it is. And it shows the audience leaving the concert hall because it was horrible. People said, "Oh my God, poor Beethoven, he's deaf. Oh, look at this." Well, Beethoven could have been deaf. Actually, he was deaf. And but he knew what he was doing. He was actually 100 or almost 200 years ahead of history, okay? He was composing stuff that we would study a century later and say, "Wow, this is great music." You don't need to like it. That's the point, okay? What is music? But we go back to that question, okay? What is music? A teacher of mine once said that music is the art of organizing sounds to please the ear. To please whose ear? Okay, that's the point. If I don't like the music, then it's not music because my ear is not pleased. If you don't like it, therefore it's not music because your ear is not pleased. That's not the way it works. Music, I think, is the art of organizing sounds. Period. It doesn't matter if you like it or not. Okay? I was going to show you the painting, but I forgot it. Anyway, so this is Beethoven. String quartet. And this is a string quartet from the 1970s. Listen to this. In other words, if I ask you what kind of music is this, some of you will say, well, it sounds like horror movie music, okay? And it may be, we got used to this, but not necessarily, okay? Composers are trying to explore new ways to make sounds. And you ask me, but why? Why do they do this ugly music? Because it's not necessarily ugly. If all art were beautiful, I mean, how can you... there are some emotions that are very sad. How do you depict that? How do you make music that depicts, that sounds like horror of war, for example? What is the sound of this pandemic, this absurdity that we're all living through? What is the sound of this? Listen to this. Yeah. Okay, it's not supposed to be pretty, okay? It's not supposed to be pretty. But not, so this is, first we heard a little Beethoven. Then this last string quartet, crazy one, it's called Black Angels by George Crumb, who was born in 1929. George Crumb, okay? Now, this next piece is by John Adams, not the president, okay? John Adams, who was born in 1947, an American composer, very smart. This is great. Listen to this. It's pretty. Well, this is Nixon in China. Nixon in China by John Adams. John Adams. And it's an opera. What? Yes. John Adams wrote this opera about the visit, about President Richard Nixon of the United States visiting Mao Zedong of China in 1972. I think it's 72. And the opera is awesome. It's fun. You see Henry Kissinger, Pat Nixon, I mean, everybody's there. Everybody's there. If you're my age, you remember those people. It's very interesting. And it's a minimalistic opera. It's minimalism. Bum, 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 bum. If we listen to this again, this is the Air Force One, the president's airplane. It's landing in Beijing. Listen to this. Here comes the plane. Listen to it. There's the plane. There's the plane. It's pretty. It's a repetition of patterns. Pom, 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 pom. Minimalism. I hate myself because I didn't think of this first. Okay? There's an aria in this opera called I Am the Wife of Mao Zedong, which is surprisingly sung by Mao Zedong's wife. And she's a soprano, and she talks about the book, the red book, the communist book. I sing according to the book I live. I live according to the book. I live according to the book. The book. Go listen to it. Okay, there on YouTube. John Adams. John Adams. Nixon in China. Nixon in China. Listen to this. This is Mao Zedong's wife. Hi, Desi. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. It's a great aria. Actually, the opera is all very, very interesting. Very interesting. You should watch it. You should. I think the Metropolitan Opera has the broadcast open. So if you go into the Met, met.org, metopera.org, I think that's what it is. Or .com, I can't remember, I'm sorry. Anyway, you go to the site of the Metropolitan Opera and you can find this opera there, Nixon in China. It's gorgeous. Now, okay, another American. The Mambo from West Side Story. Talk about something exciting. Leonard Bernstein. Leonard Bernstein. Bernstein was a great conductor and a phenomenal composer. He's the part of the 20th century generation of conductors, of young conductors in the 20th century, and he is the first American-born conductor of the New York Philharmonic. Yes, I think that's what it is. And he kind of forges this new identity to the New York Philharmonic. He does these concerts for youth, and he explains what an orchestra is, and he is responsible for a revival of symphonic music in the 20th century. He's the first American conductor on TV, so he brings a lot of audience into TV. He talks about the Beatles. He's really interesting, and you can find those lectures on YouTube. Leonard Bernstein teaching. He's phenomenal. Listen to him, because you understand a lot about who Bernstein was. Okay? Another American. Oh my, this is one of the best clarinet lines ever! And it is from Rhapsody in Blue by George Gershwin. George Gershwin, 1898-1937. He is phenomenal. Gershwin manages to kind of mix jazz and classical music in a way that for us it seems pretty normal today. It was not, okay? Jazz was kind of a lesser art. It was not concert hall music. And George Gershwin brings jazz to the concert hall and defies the aristocracy in New York. You know, the intelligentsia in New York, they were like, oh, we don't like jazz. Jazz is horrible. Okay. But it took a long time for things like Rhapsody in Blue and Porgy and Bess. You know Porgy and Bess. Oh my God. Summertime is from... This is gorgeous. Anyway, you can find versions of Summertime. I can't play a lot because of copyright. Otherwise, the feed is cut by Facebook, okay? So this is George Gershwin. Look for Porgy and Bess, look for Rhapsody in Blue. Listen to those two, okay? Listen to those two. Now, let's go French. this is the prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun by Claude Debussy. Claude Debussy, 1862-1918. Okay, Claude Debussy. Phenomenal composer. The French, they have this thing with, just like with food, that the French, you know, they have these very small dishes and they put like one little bit of absinthe here and you go like, ooh, délicieux. Music, French music is just like that. You know, they have this full orchestra, but they have this little bit of, they put an English horn here, and that's it. It'll never be used again. French music is like that. And the prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun, it has this flavor. Remember when I showed an impressionistic painting? Debussy didn't like to be called impressionist, but we consider him an impressionist composer. Look for Feu d'artifice, fireworks, for piano. Look for La Mer, the sea, for orchestra. And look for this, Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun. What is interesting is that Debussy died, as we saw here, Debussy died in 1918. And that is more or less the time, a little later, some jazz musicians were crossing the Atlantic and going to Paris. Josephine Baker, Charlie Parker, all those people went to Paris in the 1920s. If you like Woody Allen, that Midnight in Paris, I think that's what it's called. It's a great movie about that era. And the mix of Debussy plus jazz adds color to music history. It's a very interesting mix. But remember that Paris was the place to be, okay, in Europe in early 20th century. There's a Brazilian composer called Heitor Villa-Lobos who drinks from this fountain, from this mix of jazz and Debussy. Listen to this. This is o trenzinho do caipira, the little train of the hillbilly, something like that. And it's the fourth movement of Bachiana Brasileira number 2. The Bachianas are a phenomenal body of work, which you should know. There are 9 Bachianas for different medium. And number 2 ends with the trenzinho do caipira, this piece, which is a fabulous way of dealing with instrumentation, okay? And Villa-Lobos, who drank from the fountain of modern French music, comes back to Brazil, and he will be a great influence on Tom Jobim, Antonio Carlos Jobim, who is one of the fathers of the Bossa Nova. So it's interesting to see how these things are interconnected, okay? Who else? We have this. Observe. Etc. This is called Geographical Fugue by German composer Ernst Toch. Okay, Ernst Toch. Okay, a Jewish composer whom Hitler was not very fond of this sort of music. Degenerate art. Have you heard this? Yes. So Toch was one of those. That's why we should be careful with music that we like or we don't like. One thing is for us not to enjoy music. The other thing is to want it to be destroyed. We may not like it. Fine, cool. It's up to you. But if you want the person to be destroyed, that is not right. Okay, think about that. Geographical Fugue, which we just heard a little piece. it's a joke. It's kind of not exactly a joke, but it's a game on words. Open a map, and he chose names of cities, countries, and mountains, rivers, etc. And he did a fugue on those subjects. The Popocatépetl is not in Canada, rather in Mexico, etc., etc. Yes, Desi, you sang it, didn't you? Phenomenal. Yes, thank you for being here with us. Anyway, so the Geographical Fugue is that interesting combination of music and words. And remember, we asked, what is music? Geographical Fugue doesn't have notes. It has only spoken words. Is that music? Yes! Okay, it is music. Stop complaining. Open your head. Open your head. This is a pandemic. It's time to evolve. Okay? Good. Next, observe this. Etc. I'll interrupt because it goes for 20 minutes just like that. What the heck is this? It is Violin Phase. Violin Phase by American composer Steve Reich. Steve Reich was born in 1936. Steve Reich wrote Violin Phase, and then he wrote Piano Phase. What is the deal with this piece? Well, there's two violins playing together, not quite together. This beautiful motive, it's minimalistic music once again. Look, it repeats that cell, it repeats those little notes, okay, forever. But the two violins, one of them is slow, it's a little faster than the other, okay? So they start together and they start to distance from each other, okay? So listen to the beginning again. And then, because one of them is a little faster than the other, like 3 minutes from into the piece, you hear this. You hear this mosaic of sound. It's like a kaleidoscope. Is that how it's called in English? I'm not sure. Kaleidoscope, I think that's what it is. But anyway, you hear the sounds slowly changing because of that. It's as if it's a mantra, okay? And you ask me, so that's the piece? Yes, that's the piece. And once again, I hate myself for not having thought of this before because it's brilliant. But Alex, who sits for 20 minutes and to listen through this? I don't know, I don't care. That's not the point. The point is not if you like or dislike the music. It's that the music exists and it's challenging our brains. It's time to challenge our brains. It's a pandemic. Okay? Anyway, listen to this. Everybody knows this and everybody will go, oh. Yes, it's gorgeous. This is a piece by Erik Satie, French composer, Erik Satie, 1866-1925, and he was fun. He was a funny guy. The name of this piece is Gymnopédie, number 1, Gymnopédie. And if someone asked what was his job, his profession, he would say, I'm a gymnopédiste, which means absolutely nothing. Anyway, funny guy. He considered himself a surrealist, just like, what's his name with the mustache? Salvador Dali. Dali, I think you call it in English. He Satie, Erik Satie, considers himself a surrealist. How can you be surrealist in music? I don't know. I don't care. Listen to this. this. I didn't know this was 20th century music. It's not. It is Chopin. It's a waltz by Chopin. I'm playing this just to remind you of what a waltz is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. Waltz. A waltz. 1, 2. Which also influenced a lot of Brazilian music. Okay, but so what? Why did I play Chopin? Because I want you to hear to this waltz. Listen to this waltz. What the heck is this? This is one piece for piano. It's one of the 5 pieces for piano called 5 Klavierstücke. Fünf Klavierstücke. 5 pieces for piano by Arnold Schoenberg. Arnold Schoenberg, one of our favorites, 1874, 1951. Arnold Schoenberg. Schoenberg composed some of the ugliest music ever written. I'm kidding. And well, I do think that, but here I am. Nobody knows who I am, and everybody knows who Schoenberg was. I hate Schoenberg. Alas, who cares? But in this piece, Schoenberg is using a different system of composition. Actually, a different system of it's not tonality. Okay, it's a different system of organizing sounds. Okay, tonality, which was very became very firm during the Baroque period. It started in the end of Renaissance and then became very firm in the Baroque period. It's based on major and minor scales. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay? Schoenberg said that tonality, he was part of a line of thought that tonality was a dictatorship. We have to get out of it. We have to get out of tonality. How do you do it? Well, he was one of the people who used this new way of composing called serialism or dodecaphonism. I think it doesn't exist in English. Anyway, serialism, 12-tone series. It's ugly as hell, but it's a very interesting system of organizing notes. Okay, listen to this. It's called Pierrot Lunaire, the Pierrot the clown in the moon, and it's, well, anyway, yeah, I don't like it either, but that's not the point. The point is that people are trying different things. Alex, I hate it. Well, it has to be done. New frontiers, new borders. That's what artists are, okay? They explore new ways of living, new ways of doing things. Don't be irritated, just don't listen to Schoenberg. That's okay, okay? Because it's only with Schoenberg that some things that are not as extreme but are revolutionary are possible. This is, oh boy, how's it called in English? Le Sacre du Printemps, I forget, the spring, I can't remember how it's called in English. The Sacration of Spring, I don't know, anyone can help me here. Le Sacre du Printemps. Anyway, this is a piece by Igor Stravinsky. Igor Stravinsky, 1882, 1971. Both Schoenberg and Stravinsky lived in Hollywood for the last part of their lives, and it's very interesting, this story, because Stravinsky said that he hated serialism. He hated it. And then Schoenberg died, and then he started doing serialism. The two of them hated each other. It was I'm not sure if it was for play, but it's funny. But Le Sacre du Printemps started, opened in Paris in 1910, and it was a complete fiasco. Okay, maybe it's because Nijinsky was dancing, and he gave the finger to the audience. Oh my God! And then, you know, fruit and vegetables and all. I never understood who brings fruits and vegetables for the theater, but nevertheless, they were there. So, because of... But this is the music. For us, it's not the end of the world. It's angular, but it's not horrible. It's very interesting. It's great ballet music. Great ballet music. So it's relative what we like and what we don't like. Okay? Listen to this, for example. Yeah, everybody likes this one, don't they? Look, Carl Orff, 1895-1982. Carl Orff composed this, which is called Carmina Burana. Everybody knows this. Everybody watched Excalibur. Every amateur choir in the world has sung this. It's a great piece. It's phenomenal. And some people sometimes say that it's medieval. It's not. It can't be medieval. Why? Because in the medieval era there were no orchestras. Okay, so it's of medieval inspiration. Maybe the text is medieval. They say it was found in a monastery, whatever. But the music is not medieval. It's 20th century music. Okay, it's modal. You can Google it. Modal music. Okay. Anyway, so this is something that also happens in the modern era. Composers start to look back into the very past, because it's so far removed from us that it becomes interesting again. Listen to this. This is gorgeous. This is called Vespers by Sergey Rachmaninoff. Sergey Rachmaninoff. And this is one of the composers that had a tough beginning. He was not very respected in the beginning. It took him a long time to get his game going. His first piano concerto, his teacher hated it, said that he should just give up composing at all, and it took him, I think, 9 years before he composed his second piano concerto, which became one of the best known concertos in music history. Ta ra di da ra la ra 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 la ra di da ra la di da ra. It's gorgeous. It's wonderful. And his piano teacher, of course, his composition teacher, of course, we have no idea who he was. Die, composition teacher. Anyway, so Rachmaninoff in his Vespers, this piece, look at it on YouTube. Vespers, V-E-S-P-E-R-S, Vespers, by Rachmaninoff. He goes back to Russian Orthodox Church. It's phenomenal. It's really phenomenal. And sounds of the past echoing in the 20th century. Okay? And one last composer. There's this... listen to this. This is Ricard Strauss. Hobo Concerto. It's gorgeous. It's very classical, like it reminds us a little bit of Mozart, little bit. What happens with Ricard Strauss, and he is not related to Johann Strauss, father and son. Strauss in Germany is like Smith in the US. And but he also is trying to bring to bring back pretty melodies. Strauss is considered a late romantic, like very late, because he died in 1949. Look for his operas, Electra, what else? Electra, the Rosenkavalier, wonderful, Salome, wonderful operas, very brain-like, but very beautiful. Great orchestrator. Ricard Strauss was amazing. And then there's one last composer. His name is John Cage. John Cage, 1912-1992. John Cage. And he defies our understanding of what music is. Okay, he has pieces for what we call prepared piano. He throws stuff in the piano like screws and I don't know, paper, whatever, wood, pieces of wood, and then you play and the sounds are different. So that's called music for prepared piano. He also has one piece called 4 minutes and 33 seconds, which I'm gonna play just a few seconds of it, okay? Now, exactly, it's 4 minutes and 33 seconds of silence, okay? So he defies our understanding of what music is. But the funny thing is, if you put John Cage 4 minutes 33 seconds on YouTube, you will find many interpretations of this, okay? There's one by the Royal Philharmonic, I think, and which is very funny because it's 4 minutes and 33 seconds of Royal Philharmonic in silence. It's crazy! And then there's the commentators later who said it was a very good interpretation, this and that. Anyway, we are asking what music is. This is what the 20th century music is about, okay? Thank you for having been with us for this time. This lecture goes to YouTube in a few hours. I hope you can watch all of the other lectures on music history. We have medieval, Renaissance, Baroque, classical, romantic, and now this one on 20th century music. Talk to your friends, share this with your friends, let us know. If you want to know our programming, remember that you can always go back to ecai.com.br. Always go back to ecai.com.br. BR stands for Brazil. And you can see our programming there. You can also contribute should you feel thus inclined. Click on donate and you can donate a couple bucks. That would be awesome. And I hope you enjoyed this lecture. I hope to see you soon, okay? Go to ecai.com.br and I'll see you soon, okay? Thank you very much, folks. It was a pleasure being here with you. Thank you so much for being with us. Bye-bye.